Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pyros Projects. Last episode I got the cage built for the heat shield, fan shroud, whatever you want to call it. Maybe I'll call it a fan shield or a heat shroud, whatever. This one I'm actually going to work on getting the skin put on it so that I can mount the fan and actually get the air to force out around the stove to kind of, direct the heat to where I want to go. So with all that being said, I'm going to get started. I'll show you a couple of things that I've got in the interest of trying to reuse things that I already have instead of having to buy more stuff. And we'll go from there. And get this camera turned around real quick and I'll show you what I have. All right, so when I bought the house, it had this cheap metal toolbox workbench thing. It's got this little door here and these two drawers. So what I'm going to try and do is salvage as much as I can out of this to build the shield. I also may end up taking part of my old weld card apart to use some of that because this is a little bit heavier than what that workbench thing is made out of. And might use this to actually mount the fan to the back of the shield. But I'm going to take these apart, start cutting them up, measuring things, and see how much of that thing I can cover, and we'll go from there. So I'll get you caught up here in a little bit. All right, so let's do a little update. I got several pieces cut. I'm having to slowly custom form each one of these to this cage. This one, fortunately, I was able to do in one solid piece. This next section is probably going to be 2 or 3 pieces to get it covered. And then I'll still have this far side over here, 2 more panels to put in. I'm not too stressed about the back side being patchwork together. This was one of the drawers. It was actually around the sides. And then this was the bottom and front. So I'm going to do the other drawer side to put on this far edge out here, and then I'll just patchwork the rest of this together. I figure this is going to be on the back side of the stove in the corner where you can't see it, so don't think it really will matter too horribly much. At this point, I think I'm going to stop and go do some lunch, and we'll come back to it, and I'll give you guys an update when I get some more pieces put in. All right, quick little update. I got the third and fourth panel in. I got the far right side over here, and then that one in. I've actually got this piece that goes here, measured and marked off, ready to be cut. And then I have to do, obviously, another one for right here to come across. I'm leaving, well, you can see I already split this open. I got to split it down here a little bit. And then I'll leave a chunk open here in the middle to mount the blower. I'm actually going to build a box that'll sit right there that the blower can mount to. Hold on one second. I'll show you my panel that I have marked for that hole over there. All right. It's going to be a little hard to see the lines, but I do have it marked to go out here. You can see the white X's. This is the cutoff. This is what's going to go away. And then this piece right here will fill in that hole on the shield. I just got to cut off these lips on each end and this side over here, and this center piece will be what I mount to the shield over there. But just realized it's getting to be dinner time, so I got to go feed my dogs and whatnot. So I'm gonna call it good for today and get back at it sometime tomorrow. We'll see you then. Welcome back, everybody. It's a couple of days later. Had to do some errands and, cooking and whatnot. Last time we were talking, I was telling you about using that 12-volt blower motor for the fan shroud. Well, it ran into a slight problem. I cannot, for the life of me, find my 12-volt power supply. I don't know if I sold it or gave it away or loaned it to somebody and never got it back. I have no idea. So that would leave me with having to buy a battery and probably either a tender or a battery charger to run that motor. So since things are going to change with how I'm going to be building a future project, the maple sap evaporator for a buddy of mine, I actually am going to be able to utilize the blower motor from that. So let me show you what's going on here real quick. I'll get the camera turned around and show you. All right, so I was talking about this 12-volt blower motor with the plastic housing and the dual squirrel cages. But since I don't have a 12-volt power supply, I'm going to have to come up with something, another way to run it. And don't want to be spending a ridiculous amount of money. And since I'm not going to be using the big blower motor for my buddy's maple sap evaporator, I'm going to use that one instead. So here's what I got. This is the blower motor I was going to use on a heat shield for his maple sap evaporator. But since I have to insulate that to make it more efficient, this blower motor is not going to do any good. So I've got the mounting plate that this slides into. And I've also got the thermocouple. It's just a big thermistor that was in the firebox on the wood stove. It's already got 120 plugs. So you can just plug this into the wall, plug the blower motor into this thing. And as the stove heats up, this will turn the blower motor on and off. So now I've got to change directions on my heat shield a little bit so that I can fit this in and make this work instead of the other direction I was going to go. So I'm going to sit down and look at things and figure this out, and I'll show you what I come up with in a little bit. Okay, here's where we're at. I've got all of the heat shield completely enclosed, and I went ahead and mounted my blower motor. What I did is I took the plate that it mounts to, and I made a little frame out of that 1 by 1/2 inch rectangle tube. I welded the tubes, or I welded the frame to the plate and then welded the whole thing to the cage. And then I just tack welded the sheet metal to it. Yes, I did go ahead and plug it in and see how it blows. It does work the way I want it to, minus one slight problem. Because I have it offset to one side, because it was easier to do it to the frame instead of trying to do it off, in the center. So because it's offset to one side, I've got more air coming out of this side over here, which is going to be the side closest to the steps. So I think what I'm going to do, hold on, I'll pause the video and I'm going to remove the blower motor and show you. All right. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple pieces of flat stock and I'm going to divide it in thirds. So roughly a third right about here, and I'm going to angle it slightly that way. And then I'm going to take another piece at an angle this way, angled in, to kind of help push the air down around this side and towards the bottom of it a little bit. And I'm going to try it. I'm just going to tack them in and see what it does. See how it blows out of the other side of the shield. And if it works the way I want it to at that point, then I'll go ahead and permanently weld those little plates in. So we'll do that and get back with you in a little while. All right, everybody. I took the shield off and put a couple of 1-inch strap pieces inside of here. And then I messed with how this fan is going to sit, because obviously I can put it in either the way it's sitting, or I can turn it 180 degrees so that the actual motor is pointing up. And after playing with the fin location and the motor orientation, I came up with the optimized setup. I'm going to pause the video, I'll take the blower off, and I'll show you what I did inside. Okay, so what I did is I put one fin in at just a slight angle, then I put this one in at an angle or a diagonal and tilted in, and then I put this little small fin in there at a slight diagonal and tilted down. What this did for me, let me see if I can get around to the front side of it here, is looking at the stove, obviously the main feed door, and then from here through the first and second rim, it keeps all of the heat or the air coming out of this shield from here down on both sides. So that hopefully will help keep the heat lower blowing out across the shop floor to, instead of, obviously, because heat rises, I don't want to blow it at the ceiling. I want to blow it out across the floor. So keeping that heat lower coming out of that shield is working really well. And what I want to do is take it all apart, turn everything around so it would sit like it's supposed to, and actually see how far out I can feel the air coming out of that shield. So let me do that real quick, and I'll come back and let you know how that works out. All right, real quick, before I actually put the shield back on the back of the stove and show you how it works out here, I went ahead and put my fan cyclic switch and plugs on so that once everything's up on there, all I got to do is plug the motor in and plug this box into the wall, which I might have to run an outlet over, but that's irrelevant at this point. So now I'll go ahead and flip this back over and put it up on the stove, and we'll show you what I was talking about with how it blows out of the shield. So, okay, so here's what it looks like. And I'm standing, I'd say, every bit of about 6 foot away from it, and I can feel the breeze coming off of the blower right now. So this is going to do what I want it to do. And like I was saying, you can actually see better now. From about there down to the bottom of the shield is where all of the breeze is coming out of on both sides. So that's going to be like right at the main part of the fire, the base of the fire, where theoretically it should be the hottest. Although I imagine the top is going to get very hot. But now what I was talking about with this block sitting here to keep the shield from coming too far this way, I might have actually done, no, that's the way I wanted it to be. Because right now it's probably blowing at about a 45-degree angle out of the corner. But I can turn this shield. I'm going to put the camera on tripod real quick. Hold on. Okay, so right now the camera is facing directly straight at the front of the stove, and the wind from the shield is actually coming straight at the camera. The way I designed this is so I can actually rotate my shield and push more out straight into the shop that direction. So in theory, this should do everything I want it to do. Now all I've got to do is take it all apart, pull it outside, do the first full fire cycle in it, and then paint the whole thing black. The shield, the body of the stove, everything is going to be all black. And then I'll be ready for winter. Well, not really. I still have to do, I don't know if you can see up that high. Hold on. There we go. Got the camera tilted better. Then all I got to do is run my exhaust up through the ceiling, go up out of the roof of the barn for the exit. I don't know if this is exactly where it's going to sit or if I'm going to turn it slightly more to get it tucked into the corner a little bit further. I haven't decided on that part yet, but I don't have the parts to do all that anyway. So for right now, this is going to be done. Like I said, I still have to paint it and, do a first fire in it to cook off all the dirt and dust and whatever. And then it'll be ready for winter. So I will do a follow-up video a little bit later on, probably late September, beginning of October when I do the fire, and then when I paint it. But until then, this project is complete. I'm going to clean up some of the mess in the barn and get ready for the next project. Hopefully this one's going to be a fun one and you guys enjoy it. It's going to be the start of the maple sap evaporator for my buddy. And it's going to be an interesting build. It's going to be a complicated, long, drawn-out build. I don't know how long it's going to take me to do it. But considering I normally only get out here sometimes 2, maybe 3 evenings a week, we'll see what happens. So thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe.